Hello, my name is Dr. Daniel Van Ingen, and I am with the Parenting Doctors, and this is Dr. Sarah Van Ingen, and we are here to discuss anger management, loving angry children.
Yep, so we're going to talk about how to love well when our kids are angry.
So we're going to present the 5 golden coins of loving angry children and anger management. Let's start out with the very first one. Dr. Sarah?
All right, so the first gold coin is about our attitudes, and that is that anger is allowed, and along with that, disagreement is allowed. So the goal is not to stop our children from being angry or to get them to agree with us. Actually, that's not the goal. Our children are their own persons, and we want them to express their anger when they feel angry. But the goal is to help our children do that in a productive, healthy way. So that's the goal today, is not to stop our children from being angry, although sometimes it's like more comfortable, it's easier if our kids aren't angry, but that's actually not the goal. The goal is to get children who are able to express their anger in healthy ways. What do you think about that goal?
I think that's a great goal, and a lot of you listening maybe came from a family background where anger was not allowed, or so we are changing that history for our own families. Anger is allowed. It is permitted. It is a healthy part of an emotional life and families.
Yes. So, and it turns out medical research is super clear on this. When kids do not have opportunity to express anger, it gets bottled up, and children end up being later on more depressed, have more health problems. There's all sorts of stuff that goes on in our bodies when we don't get a chance to let it up and out. So it's really important that our children have that chance to express it. And it's one of the 5 emotions. Like, do you remember Inside Out?
Yes, it's a great
right?
movie.
So
yep.
that is a really good movie, and it helps just us to have a good conversation about the fact that negative emotions, anger, fear, disgust, are really helpful, and they help
That's
us
right.
to live sort of
and
a full
sadness.
balanced life.
Yep.
And sadness too. Yeah, along with joy.
And joy, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you may have come from a family background where joy was allowed, but anger wasn't, sadness wasn't. We're going to target anger today. Anger is allowed, it's permitted, and it's a healthy part of the emotional life. So that's our first golden coin.
Yes. Okay, so now the second gold coin has to do with helping our children to name the emotion. So it's one thing to say anger's allowed, but it's another thing for families to learn to say, I am angry.
Yes.
So probably a lot of us also grew up in a family where if anger wasn't explicitly forbidden, nobody ever said they were angry, right? So people are angry. They use all sorts of other words, euphemisms. I'm disappointed. I'm frustrated. I'm irritated. I'm tired. But nobody said anger. And we want our children to say, I am angry. It's powerful to name the emotion.
Right, and we want you to encourage your children to say, I am angry. Now, there may be a sequential set of steps. Child throws Jell-O, and you say, if you throw Jell-O, you don't get dessert. And then the child says, but I really want dessert. Okay, I'm angry. Follow through on the consistent plan you set up. You lost dessert. Next time, look, if you throw Jell-O, you don't get dessert. Next time. They will remember next time. So we want to move towards in that direction to where they can say, I am angry. And you encourage your child to express that emotion. Naming the emotion, I am angry.
Yeah, so I like how you brought up the example of a young child, because this anger wells up, and it's a little bit like the volcano.
Yeah.
If there's no way for that lava to come out, then there's the explosion.
Yes.
Right? And so especially with young children, we see a lot of throwing of objects or temper tantrums or screaming or slamming doors, right? And so to help let the steam off, we're trying to teach children earlier in the escalation to say, I am angry.
And that helps with the percolator, just slowly. And we want to help children to be like microwave popcorn rather than a volcano. You slowly detect, you slowly heat up. And so if they might learn their behavioral signals where they notice that they're starting to heat up rather than a volcano.
Yes. And so, I think one of the best things we can do for our parents in this is actually to model it ourselves. So when we start heating up, when we start feeling angry, to say, Alma feels angry right now. I am angry right
Yes,
now. I'm
yes.
angry. And that's a really great model. So I think that's one thing we want to be careful about, is that we're not just asking our children to say that they're angry, but never acknowledging when we're angry ourselves.
That's right. And drowning out the volume doesn't work, parents. So how many of us, while driving in the vehicle, their frustration of the sibling arguments in the back, so we're going to try and drown it out with louder music or something louder, that only, if you've noticed, that only elevates the volume even more. And so rather than trying to drown it out, I feel angry right now, we need to bring down the volume as we're driving for the safety of drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we express, I feel angry right now, that helps us let off some of that. But then that brings us to the third gold coin. Okay, so just to recap, first gold coin was that anger is allowed. Disagreement is allowed.
Yes.
So the goal is not to stop that. Second gold coin was name the emotion. I feel angry.
Yes.
Now the third gold coin is to understand that every emotion expresses a need.
Yeah.
And so we want children to start to identify what need it is that they have. So when they feel angry, first thing is, I feel angry. But the next thing is, this is what I need right now.
And may I quickly differentiate adults from children? So adults get angry. We get angry for a variety of reasons. It may be that my way, all right? My way is not happening. So I want the shoes set up in a certain way, or I want us to go to this restaurant, and it doesn't happen. And so then I get angry. Or our pride may be pricked. Or you may be a ducks in a row kind of person, and things aren't going in the organized way. So, if you come from a background where you were criticized in your background, or you were rejected in your background, and so that's sort of popping up. That's that old bruise of inadequacy, where you feel inadequate. Maybe your boss said certain things, maybe you're not measuring up. And it's activating or triggering, if you will, that old bruise of inadequacy. And so it leads an adult to get angry. There's a number of reasons why we as adults get angry in life, from as simple as someone running through a yellow light and what sometimes we might have is road rage and other things. But that is different than how we want to understand children, right? So, Dr. Sarah?
So I think we can sort of boil it down to, for children, one need they have is belonging. So children need to feel that they belong, that they have a place, that they are loved.
Yeah.
And so times when children feel rejected, they can respond in anger because that need for belonging is not being met. So this could look like a parent might say, here you go again, doing your, whatever. And inside, the child just feels like, you're rejecting me. Like, you're automatically assuming that I'm going to do this negative thing.
Yeah, we want to speak good into the children rather than speaking negative.
Absolutely, yes. And we all make mistakes as parents.
Right.
So sometimes there's the child's need is for belonging. The child feels rejected. And we'll also see this at school. Children, sometimes, how many of us have picked up a child after school or seen them and they're just in a really bad mood, kicking stuff or just really irritated, and we come to find out later on as we sort of probe that they had a really tough day with their friends and they felt rejected. So the need for belonging is very strong. There's a need for acceptance, and that has to do with identity, the need to know that you're fundamentally lovable. And so when children feel like they're not good enough, something sort of threatens that identity, that's another cause for anger to pop up.
So we're talking about a need for belonging,
Yep.
a need for rejecting,
Uh,
a need for
acceptance.
acceptance. Let me push pause
Okay.
right here because parents in the audience may say, okay, yeah, that happened to my daughter last week. What can we do about it?
Right.
She's getting picked up from school and she's been rejected and she has fickle friends who are nice the day before and nasty, as we know that school children can be nasty. Special middle school girls can be nasty. And so what can we do about it? So the audience members are saying, okay, Dr. Sarah, as the mom, what can we do to help our daughter?
So first of all, that daughter's starting to have angry behavior. So maybe she pushes her brother, rolls her eyes, tells her sister she's stupid, something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, okay, we go back to the golden coins. One,
Yep.
first of all, she's allowed to be angry.
Yes.
Second of all, we want to get her to say I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be pointing out her behavior. Wow, honey, that was a pretty mean thing. Looks like you're angry. Are you angry? Right?
Yes.
We name it for
Yes.
them, help them to see it like I'm angry. And then the third thing is to ask a child, let's think about what's underneath this.
Yeah.
Let's think about what's driving the anger. And it's not so hard for older children to identify, the girls didn't want to sit with me at lunch.
Yes.
Or my best friend was laughing with somebody else and they were making fun of whatever, my hair, my shoes, or whatever it was. So, but then to go a bit further and identify the need. So you felt rejected. Like when you can put the finger on the need, because putting the finger on the need, although it may seem to be like exposing like a deeper wound or like could almost seem like you're rubbing salt in it, like,
Yeah.
Fixating on this problem, what it does is it now makes it a solvable situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, identifying. So when your friends were laughing, you felt rejected, right? So you have a need for belonging. We all have a need for belonging, and so then we start talking about that, and we start talking about areas in our life where she does belong and is accepted, and then we go to talking about short-term needs and long-term needs, which is the next step. But I want to sort of pause there. So, so again, the big picture is getting the child to express what it is that they need.
The information you're providing is so helpful. I think parents will then want a next step. Could we just kind of finish this part?
Okay, sure.
So
Yep. So immediately that little girl or
Yeah.
teenage girl needs to know that she is worthy and that she belongs.
Yes.
And so that's something that immediately as a parent, that this is the thing about family. We are a tribe. We
Yeah.
stick together. We always belong. You always belong here with us. So part of it is, in the immediate, is grabbing onto her, hugging her, acknowledging. Now, sometimes that's not what a teenager wants to hear.
Yeah, but what does Susie do about Tamika, Jenny, Janie?
Yep. So I think there's a short term and there's a long term, right? So there has to be that immediate, I think, deep acknowledgement that here in the family is where she is loved, accepted, and belongs. And then there's sort of the strategy of, well, what do we do about the girls? And you know what? That's going to depend on the situation. So we might need to talk about, are these girls, the people that we want to be friends with, right? So over time, have they shown themselves to be worthy of deep friendship?
Yeah.
If they have, then we sort of need to talk about the fact that we all fall short, we all make mistakes, and then how to bring up the fact that you felt hurt to these worthy, friends who have shown themselves to be worthy of friendship, and how we sort of can coach our daughter on how to express how hurt she felt, and then to have an opportunity for repair on that. However, if these are not girls that have shown themselves to be worthy of friendship, then we talk about what it takes to develop friendship, other options, and that's not a quick fix.
Yep.
That will take time, but we can sort of go from there.
So sometimes we need to give them direct things that they can say, such as, "Thank you for my opinion, but I love my hair." and your opinion right now doesn't matter to me. Sometimes direct statements, in order to know what to say to some of the bullying, may be what's needed. Sometimes the solution may be to explore how I'm going to handle these fickle relationships. And how will I welcome them back? Can I forgive them? How will I approach them tomorrow when they were nasty yesterday? You know, sometimes it might be, hey, thanks for being nice. You were nasty yesterday, but you're nice today. It's really nice to be with you, especially when you're nice. So sometimes one of the solutions may be equipping preteens and teens words, statements, things that they can say in addition to the long-term solution, as you said, how we're going to approach these relationships.
Yes, yep, that's right. And so, I mean, we could almost do a whole series of, of these shows on like the individual situations.
So back. Thank you for doing that. I wanted to.
Yeah, I like that.
Give the audience members that. But yes, back to the needs, which again, the golden coins. Anger is allowed. Name the emotion and express the need. So we talked about the need to belong and the need for acceptance.
Identity.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, I think another thing that we see with children is the need for autonomy. We all know this starts at like 2, right? So they need to express what I want. So the child wants this and they want it now, right? And when they don't get it, they get angry. But that need for autonomy is a true, real need.
Yeah.
And part of the thing about childhood is you understand how to express what you want and how to deal when you don't get what you want. Right?
Toy, no, temper tantrum. Yeah. So, what's the need? Need for autonomy.
Yes. So, again with that even like the 4-year-olds. Okay, let's say we have 4-year-olds wants the latest like toy truck or the Cars thing or whatever at the store. So nope, we can't get it today, and the child has a fit. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, our goal is not to get the child to stop from being angry. Okay, but it is this this fit is not productive, healthy expression of anger. So second thing we're going to do is we're going to get the child to say, I am angry, right? So, Josh, are you angry? You look like you're pretty angry. Can you say, I am angry?
Yes.
Josh says, I am angry. Josh, why are you angry? What is it? Well, I want the toy and I want it now.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so now here is the short-term fix and the long-term fix. So short-term, well, Josh, I'm sorry you can't have the toy now. So sometimes the short term is just like no, right? Yeah. But the long term might be a conversation with Josh about how often we get toys. Maybe it's maybe there's some sort of like a reinforcement plan, or maybe there's an understanding when birthdays are, when Christmas is, or something like this, and just an understanding of how our family approaches purchasing wants. And then, of course, as they get older, that can become much more sophisticated. But you sort of see, like, sometimes expressing the need doesn't mean that you actually get the child what they want at the moment, right? But it is expressing in the short term, what do we need to do? But then also, there's a longer term conversation or approach that we can take to hopefully over time head off these anger flares, right?
Yep. So that's good. And so the 5 golden coins: anger is allowed, naming the emotion, expressing the need. Now let's talk about anger, loving angry children. Golden coin number 4, anger physiology. And here it's really important for us to assess when a child may need some time. When a person gets angry, physiologically, the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain, gets activated, may flood. Paul Ekman coined the term flooding. The emotions overwhelm the prefrontal cortex, the ability to think, reason, learn, abstract, inhibit, critical thinking, executive functions. That gets flooded by the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain. A person gets angry, and so you see increased heart rate, chest pressure, maybe just some sweat, maybe just blood flow. You have anger going on, and there's a real physiological response. Sympathetic nervous system activation is a physiological response, and a person needs time.
This is right. So we've all seen that child. We see them. They're sort of percolating like we're talking about before. And then it just starts escalating. And we just know this is not going to go anywhere well.
Yeah.
We try. We have the child, John, are you angry right now? You look angry. What is it that you need right now? But the child is throwing the comments, the insults.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fast and
You are
furious.
so mean. You're a terrible mom.
And it's just not getting anywhere. And it's not getting good. In fact, it's just getting worse and worse. And
ladies and gentlemen, it's just anger.
Yeah.
All it is just anger. We love them unconditionally. What you're seeing is anger. Let's not take it personally.
Yeah.
That's one of the emotions.
So, and this is not to say that that's acceptable. It's not acceptable
That's
for
right.
a child to insult a parent. It's not acceptable for a child not to follow directions or, but what we do want to acknowledge with the anger physiology is that you can see once you're looking for it when a child gets flooded, and it's a fight or flight response. At this point, the child is actually not capable of higher order thinking, like executive functioning.
That's right.
So sometimes we must teach our children how to take a timeout. With
Right.
the younger children, of course, we just give them the timeout. We
Right.
put them in the chair, we put them in the bedroom, whatever.
Yeah.
But with older children, we need to teach them once this starts happening to you, once you sort of like get this tunnel vision, you need to ask for a break. You need to say, I need 5 minutes. I'm going outside to clear my head.
Right.
I'm going in a different room. We'll resume it then. And mainly, unfortunately, the way this happens with older children is they don't take that self-time out.
Mm-hmm.
They say something that is horrible, or they do something horrible, and then there's a big consequence to it. But then, later on, at another day, when there's no emotion, you go back, you talk about, remember when you were at that point and I suggested
right.
a timeout and you didn't take it? You continue to escalate. That's where this big consequence was implemented. Next time, when you recognize you're
Mm-hmm.
getting there, take that moment. Take that moment
Yeah.
for yourself to cool off. And goodness, we need to know how to do this as parents ourselves.
Right.
Because we struggle with this too.
And that's pushing the brakes. It's slowing down. It's taking a break.
Mm-hmm.
And we will come back to the time when the teenager said, you're a terrible mother, or you are an a-hole, or you're the meanest person in the world. We'll come back to that. And we will say it's unacceptable to make those statements in our family. We're a Johnson family. We back people up. We are behind each other. We're the Van Ingen family here. We are behind each other. We're one for all for one. We are a team. But in our family, that's unacceptable. We will come back to that when we're calm. The point I want to emphasize is, let's not take it personally.
Mm-hmm.
Once we take it personally and allow that to go in, where we feel inadequate as a parent, or our pride is pricked because we were just told we're a terrible parent when that's something we're really working on, and then we get angry, and then we lose control. When we get angry, we send the message, I've lost control of this situation. We want to have self-control, calm under pressure, and not take it personally. Those things that are said, we'll come back to that when we're calm, when we're problem solving, when we can have a meeting later on. But now's not a time for that. We are recognizing this is anger. When a person is flooded, they make these comments, these statements. We're going to teach them over time that when they get angry, that they don't do something stupid or say something bad. And that's going to help them long term not to quit a job, not to burn a bridge, not to end a relationship, because they will learn how to recognize that they are angry.
Yeah.
Right.
So I really like that point that you made. And so what you're reminding us is that with anger physiology, we also as parents need to realize when we become flooded. Mm-hmm. And, there's some kids out there who are really good at pushing our buttons.
Right.
Like, there's some kids who are
Yeah.
much better at that than others, and you know, our children.
Teens become masters at button
They
pushers.
do, and
Yeah.
they know our weaknesses.
Yeah.
I mean, because they live with us, and so
Yeah.
they know sort of what can get us going.
How many accountants out there, your teenager knows you are terrible with money, will be the one that pushes your button.
So,
You're a lawyer. Teenager will say, all you do is think with logic. Where's your emotion, Dad? Boom. Push
Yeah.
the button.
yeah.
Teachers out there, you do not know how to teach, and you're a terrible mother. Another button pusher. So they will become masters at pushing the buttons.
And so I think, you know, we handle that well to a certain point, and then each of us do have a flooded point where we then lose sort of the capacity ourselves to, you know, do what
Yeah.
you're talking about, not take
Yeah.
it personally. And so when that happens for us, we also need to lead by example, take that time out, and say, you know what, we're finishing this
Yeah.
in 10 minutes. Generally, nothing's going to happen in 10 minutes. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's like we want to fight, show them, but just wait. Give yourself 10 minutes. When you're not flooded, you can think rationally. And sometimes it's a matter of calling up a partner or a friend or, you know, somebody else that you can sort of talk through things to take it down.
A comment on big picture. One of the things, a pillar for parenting doctors that we value and will come back to time and time again on these videos in our writings is the family meeting.
Mhm.
And the family meeting is so important. And so I would recommend on a bullet point once a month, let's come back and talk about conflict resolution, anger physiology, how we're managing anger. Put that on a bullet point. It's going to be beneficial long term for families. So, Dr. Sarah Vaningen, let's go to the fifth golden coin of loving angry children. So we've talked about anger is allowed, name the emotion, express the need. Is the need a need of belonging? Is it autonomy? Is it acceptance? And then fourth, anger physiology. Here's the fifth golden coin, repair.
Yes. So, how do you help a child when they didn't know what to do, when they didn't express their anger well, and or they really hurt somebody else? So, when we are angry and when we don't handle the anger well, we have a responsibility
Yeah.
to repair.
Right.
And that's the first thing we just teach our children. If you mess up, if you act out in your anger, if you are hurtful in your anger,
Yeah.
you have a responsibility to repair, to make that right.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that?
James goes to Lisa and says, I am sorry I kicked your leg. I was angry at you because you took the last cookie. Lisa then has a need to express how she felt. James may just want to hear, I forgive you, and it's over. But Lisa may have a need to express how she felt about James kicking.
That's right. She may say, I hate it when you do that. That hurts. I can't stand it. I hate it when you act like that, right? So she may have this that needs to come out.
It's important that we teach James to listen and validate her feelings after the apology.
Right. And so James doesn't even need necessarily to agree with Lisa's reaction, but just to validate. So, Lisa, I really hear that I hurt you, and I'm sorry. Again, I'm sorry about that.
So James, I am sorry. I forgive you. That's all James wants. He wants to move on. But there's actually a second step is what we're proposing for James. To apologize, however he does it, and then hear the feelings and validate those feelings.
Yeah. And so, you know, for minor anger eruptions, that is a great process. Sometimes our children in their anger do some more serious damage.
Right.
They might damage property, or they might say something that really was out of bounds to a loved one or friend,
Yeah.
a teacher, coach. So in those kind of situations, the child not only has a responsibility to apologize, but to make things better.
Right.
And I think we have to teach them the expectation that they have an obligation to do something to make that better. Do something kind for that
Right.
person. Do something to repair it, to show that they understand that it's serious and that they have a responsibility to, like reparations, you know, to make it right.
Yeah. And it's really important as parents that we lead by example. And we lead by example with humility and encourage and reinforce teenagers, children, tweens, and teenagers. We reinforce the value of repair in the family. So Jackie comes to mommy and says, her mother, Jackie's a 17-year-old, I want to go out with my boyfriend tonight. Mom says, no, it's a school night. Jackie gets angry. Jackie is unable to go out anyway because the keys are hidden. So Jackie goes on to say some things when she's angry. She calls up her boyfriend, speaks badly about mom, and then goes to bed. So given the scenario I just described, as an audience, what would you say? Who's in the wrong? It doesn't really matter who's in the wrong. The next day, if Jackie comes to mom and says, Mom, I'm angry at you because you didn't let me go out with Ben. And here are the 3 reasons why. I got my homework done. I'm responsible. I'm going to stick to my weekday curfew. And Ben is a responsible boy. And all we were going to do is have dinner with his parents. And then I was going to come home. It was a late dinner. But I'm angry at you because you lacked flexibility. You were rigid, Mom. How can mom lead by example in that repair attempt? What do you think?
Okay, well, so in that situation, I see a ton of great stuff. So
Yeah.
Jackie is, expressing her feeling and the need behind that. What she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But Jackie hasn't taken responsibility yet for the poor things she said to her mom or to Ben about her mom.
Yeah.
So in that case, Jackie, for me, has to do that first. I think leading by example, after Jackie takes responsibility for those negative comments, mom can, forgive. But I think that has to happen first.
I think that what's really important for mom is to acknowledge the anger expressed by Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to be quick to say, well, you did this and you said this, right?
Yeah.
So acknowledging the emotion, right? Anger is allowed. It's okay for Jackie to express her anger, right? And that includes disagreement is allowed. So here, Jackie's mom, Marie, says, we disagreed, in acknowledging that disagreement is allowed. Appreciating her naming the emotion, the second golden coin of anger, acknowledging her need, what she needed to belong and connect, and then, like you said, coming back to, when we think of the 4th golden coin, anger physiology, coming back to what was said. So, is there an order to things?
Well, I really like, what you're saying about, I think we don't have to be so rigid about the order of things. So I think that Jackie's mom, Marie, could acknowledge, Jackie, thank you for telling me how you were feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for telling me that you're angry, what it was that you wanted. So I think Jackie's mom can graciously acknowledge those things. And then say, I really value those things. But for you and I, for our relationship to be repaired and back on solid ground, I really need you to take responsibility for the hurtful things you said. So instead of maybe rigidly insisting, well, I'm not even going to hear about that until you apologize. You had no right to talk about that, right? So I think there can be, we can have some flexibility in how we
and the repair may be both sides of the street. So it may be that in talking about it, Jackie and Marie both acknowledge that mom, Marie, was less open to the rationale, the reasons that Jackie was providing. And so if she wasn't open, that may be a need for an apology. So
yeah. So I mean, let me give us example at a younger age of
Okay.
this, right? So it may be that let's say you have a 6-year-old who wants to go and play outside, and you say you got to clean the room first, and so the 6-year-old slams the door, right? And but maybe you also lost it a bit, and you know, yelled out, "You always slam your door. You know, you're such an ungrateful child." I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
something like that, right? So, which, you know, we all are going to make mistakes when we're, you know, interacting with angry children.
Yeah.
And so I think in that case, looks like we're having
Sorry
a
for the
little-
camera here.
Your hands in the way there. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right. So in that case, it's going to be right for not only the little 6-year-old boy to apologize, but for mom to say, you know, I shouldn't have said what I said. I shouldn't have said that you always
Mm-hmm.
or you never clean your room.
Right.
It's not true. Mommy got angry and said something that wasn't fair to you, and I'm sorry for that. Right. So.
Right.
So there's going to be many times when there's going to be 2 apologies.
But repair is it's giving others a chance to express their feelings, and repair, that's the number one goal. Our unconditional love, the quality of the relationship, the quality of our lives is dependent on the quality of our relationships. And when it comes to parenting, the quality of our attachment relationship with our children, tweens, teens, and really emphasizing the relationship as first and foremost.
That's right, and you know that's where we really strive for, like, just have a grace-filled and gracious family life.
Yeah.
Which means we are going to make mistakes, and we forgive, and that's how we do things. So sometimes as parents we can be too exacting of our children, and I'm not talking about excusing poor behavior. That's not okay. But when a child sincerely apologizes, sometimes we have to let go
Mm-hmm.
and just be a wholehearted,
Yeah.
you know, wholeheartedly accept that apology from our children and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can learn so much by listening. And so think of this acronym, NEAR. Okay? So the 5 golden coins of loving angry children, right? A, NEAR. So think of NEAR. Anger is allowed. Name the emotion. Express the need. Anger physiology. And repair the relationship.
Oh, I get it. I didn't know you meant NEAR. So it's ANEAR.
Yes.
So maybe we can put that in the notes somewhere. But A for anger, N for name, so Anne,
Yeah.
and then E for express,
Mm-hmm.
A for anger physiology, and R for repair, EAR, ear, an ear. Okay, got it.
So we are the Parenting Doctors. Check us out at parentingdoctors.com. Like us on our Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Parenting Doctors at YouTube. And we look forward to spending more time with you. Again, this is Dr. Daniel Van Ingen and Dr. Sarah Van Ingen. Thank you for tuning in to our 5 golden coins of loving angry children.
Yes, so don't forget, if you're able to implement any of this, leave us some comments. Let us know how it worked, or if you still have more questions. We would love to hear from you, and we'll put your comments, if we can, in a future broadcast.
That's right. Send us your questions on anything, all things parenting. We are here to serve.